What if you could sense what's on the other side of a wall? Not just hear what's going on, but know what's happening as if you could see it. That's kind of how a shark sees the world. A lot of people are interested in sharks, but a lot of those people probably don't know about a special trick they have. Sharks can see electricity. I've looked in many articles from Gale to support my claims and am prepared to present this information to you now. Sharks and other marine animals are not only able to sense electricity, but they're able to use that sense in a variety of ways. To understand some of the basics of electroreception, we'll look at a few of the main topics: the history of how humans discovered it in marine life, how it works, and how different animals use it. Sharks are probably the most famous example of an animal that can sense electricity, but despite that, according to Harry Levine, we only found out about their ability relatively recently. Levine explains that Stefano Lorenzini was an Italian naturalist who first noticed that sharks and rays have rows of holes in their head connected to jelly-filled tubes. I think you can see that pretty well. Originally, people had a lot of different ideas about the purpose of these structures, but we never actually found out the use of them for certain until the 1980s, when a great white shark in San Francisco aquarium showed that she could sense the electricity coming off a faulty light bulb in her tank. This odd behavior prompted scientists to look further into it, and sure enough, sharks can sense even very weak electric fields. What's interesting still, even that they are the poster boy for it, electroreception isn't unique in sharks. Nadia Drake, in an article for Science News, has said that in 2011, sensory biologist Wolf Henk and his team, working in the University of Rostock in Germany, released a report in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B, detailing how dolphins can also sense electric currents. Drake reports that the team confirmed their hypothesis by both examining the supposed electroreceptive organs of dead dolphins who had died of natural causes, and the reactions of a captive dolphin when he was close to an electric current. Paco, the dolphin they observed, was reliably able to sense even very weak electric currents. Both sharks and dolphins being able to sense electricity is an example of convergent evolution. This is when two organisms evolve similar features independently of each other in order to solve the same problem. Despite the similarities, though, sharks' electroreception works very differently than that of dolphins. An article from News RX Health titled "Even a Shark's Electric Sixth Sense May Be Tuned to Attack" explains how, with sharks, their sensory organ is a gel-filled sac in their heads called the ampullae of Lorenzini. It works by allowing charged particles that carry electricity through small openings in the cell membranes of specialized receptor cells. These cells can then send signals to the rest of the nervous system and tell the shark where electric current is coming from. Going back to Drake's report, though, in dolphins, electroreception works a little differently. When Paco's snout was covered with a plastic shield, he was unable to sense any electricity at all. This points to the conclusion that in dolphins, electroreception evolved from structures that were originally used for mechanical touch. Touch-based nerves are very similar to basic electroreceptors, so with just a little tweaking, dolphins were able to evolve electroreception from what were originally whiskers. It's said that even a shark's electric sixth sense may be tuned to attack, that sharks share their form of electroreception with evolutionary cousins like stingrays. While Drake, on the other hand, has said that dolphins aren't known to share their form of electroreception with any related species. The interesting thing with sharks, though, is that while they can sense a wide range of electric voltages, they don't use that electroreception for anything except one purpose: hunting. Levine has expressed that sharks are the apex predators of the ocean, so there's really only one use for electroreception. But other animals have found much more creative applications. Knife fish, for example, use their sixth sense to find mates, to better know their surroundings, to cloak themselves from sharks by manipulating the electric field around them, and of course to find prey. Possibly the most famous example of a knife fish's creativity is the electric eel. This fish, which isn't actually an eel, manipulates the electric field around it, but instead of hiding from sharks, it stuns its prey with an electric shock. Dolphins are also pretty creative. They use their electric sense for multiple things like navigation, for example. Scientists think that dolphins, and possibly sharks as well, are able to navigate vast distances through the ocean using electroreception. We think that they're able to do this by sensing magnetic rocks on the sea floor or detecting differences in the salinity of water, which produces electric fields in specific areas of the sea. Both of those they would use as landmarks along their journey. It's also thought that they may be able to navigate using the Earth's magnetic field. In conclusion, sharks and other marine animals are not only able to sense electric currents, but also able to use that sense in a variety of ways. To understand some of the basics of electroreception, we've looked at a few of the main topics: the history of how humans discovered it in marine life, how it works, and how different animals use it. While some of you may dislike or even fear sharks, hopefully you know more about them now than you did a few minutes ago.